You could hear the Crime Minister obviously talking there, which is absolutely crucial to a community like this one. I'm at White Hart Lane Youth Club in North London. You can see some of the teenagers who are using it here. There's around 50 of them every day who come and use this academy. Everything from boxing, fitness, right through to vocational education training as well. And for them, obviously, this news today, this new strategy will be crucial to their future. Let's have a quick chat with some of them. Guys, can I just grab you? I know you're looking super fit and busy there. But just listening and hearing all of this news and how important this centre is to you. Jamie, tell me a bit about what it's like using this centre, because it's dead important to you, isn't it?
It's a good time to pass time by and get me out of trouble. Also, the people here are really friendly, so I can communicate with them and build my social skills.
Yeah. So
it's also good because I have a good coach who helps me a lot.
Yeah.
And other people who are really friendly and helps me make new friends.
Yeah. So do you think it makes a difference to you not getting in trouble then? If you weren't here, do you think you would be?
Yeah, because some people are like bad influences on me. Yeah. So if I come here, I can leave that all behind and just enjoy myself.
Yeah, well, that is very good to hear. And Alicia, for you, I know this is really important to you. You're involved in loads of different things, but what's life like being a teenager at the moment, would you say?
Well, I think if you're not gang affiliated, you're not as much in as much risk when you're walking about the street, living your everyday life. Genuinely, there is a lot of tension between teenagers, especially in all kinds of gang rivalries. If you don't know another person, you put yourself on a pedestal above them, you can create tension there, and there's a lot going on in a teenager's life at the moment, but there are different ways to go around that, like coming to a gym like this, for example. You know, you can, instead of making trouble on the street, spend your time here doing something that you love. I love boxing. I mean, I wouldn't stop it for the world, so it's great. I do like growing up in this generation. There's a lot of social media, a lot of devices, a lot of things we can do, so yeah. Yeah,
well, that's really good to hear. And Ethan, for you, you know people, don't you, who have ended up in trouble. So how do we make sure we have more people like you?
Just educate them properly. Tell them the right ways to go. Keep them on the right path is always the best way, because sometimes they don't know the correct ways. So, just keep them on the right path.
Yeah. And James, for you, you've got some good thoughts on this around financial education, haven't you, James? Tell us about that.
Because I thought the reason for people getting in these activities was because they don't have the right financial situations in their communities. So if you educated them in school about how to make money legally, they would stay away from the illicit activities, and also treating them with love, because if you give someone hate, the only way to defeat hate is through love. So you can't. You have to treat someone with love to get that same love reciprocated back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh, well, you've got some cracking ideas. Hopefully people will listen to you, because it's people like you actually know what you're talking about. Guys, I'll let you carry on. Thank you very much. But, really wise words, isn't it, from those young people who have really experienced this. This is their lives. But I'm just going to nip through, because we've got more people to talk to. Excuse my manoeuvring through the ring. But we've got Tana and Jasmine and Lucy here as well. So you guys, I mean, you're living in this generation as well. Lucy, do you think it's fair, all of this coverage you're seeing about how bad life is? Does it feel like that for you?
No, I feel like young people are stereotyped, and it's actually a small minority, not everyone. And so if you're saying that these young people are like this, then they're more likely to accept that label and become that. And I feel like we're not actually as at risk as it's being made out to be, because I feel like walking through the streets, I feel safe, because if you're not involved in that lifestyle, then I don't think that you are as much at risk.
Yeah. Do you feel like, as young teenagers out and about, do you feel like you're looked at differently by people?
Yeah, definitely.
In what way? What's happening?
Well, I'd say, especially when we're in a big group, all of us together on the bus, we're genuinely having fun, but people, because of how we're portrayed, they have a certain type of idea of what we're like, and they already carry that without even knowing our names, without knowing anything about us. So we do get looks a lot of the time, and I feel like young people need positive labels, because if you have negativity, of course that's what's going to come out of it. We're only spoke about in the media when it's negative, not when it's positive. Like, we just had the Commonwealth Games, there were so many athletes, young athletes doing amazing things, and it's not spoke about. So we need to be encouraged and actually lifted up by our community.
Yeah, you're cracking ambassadors as well, to be fair to you. Jasmine, what do you think we should do to try and make sure we've got more young people like you?
I feel as though introducing more government-funded programmes and clubs would have a positive impact on our generation, because half the people who are on the streets don't have anything to do, or they're in circumstances where their parents can't afford to pay for clubs or services for them. So I feel as though introducing government-funded programmes would enable children to be able to go to a positive environment and just have fun.
Yeah, we need you lot running the country, that's what it is. Ladies, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that. But, you know, just some really wise words coming from everyone here this morning. Well, we're going to talk to some more people we've gathered with the sofa here this morning. We've got Chris, Yvonne and Mick here too. Chris, you run the centre. I mean, you must be so proud of the young people here because they're such great ambassadors, aren't they? But very tragically, it's also the academy where Tanisha Melbourne-Blake, who was very tragically killed last week, went. Just tell us a bit about Tanisha.
Tanisha studied at the Vocational Academy, which is a female site. She was with us for 2 years. She was an exceptional individual in terms of her personality, her ability to relate to others, her interpersonal skills were first class. And I remember speaking to her mother at a parents' evening and saying that I feel she's going to do very well in life. I knew she wanted to work with young people and/or hairdressing, and I think she was a perfect candidate for a career in those areas. And it's tragically never going to happen now, and I think we've been robbed of a really first-class person.
Yeah, you guys must be heartbroken. I mean, how's everyone taken it?
We've taken it very badly. I was heartbroken. I had tears at various times the first couple of days. A member of my staff was friends with the family before Tanisha came to us. She's broken, totally broken. Very, very hard to console her, to be quite honest. It's hit everybody very, very hard. And I have to say, Tanisha had nothing to do with any of this kind of activity, not involved in gangs and crimes and violence. She is a totally innocent bystander. And unfortunately, the third that we've had at our school, Footsteps have lost 3 young people to sort of random violent attacks. And it's tragic.
How do we stop it then?
Well, I think you have to look in particular at 2 areas. The culture of carrying weapons is very prevalent, and a lot of people are saying it's for defence. And I think that needs to be addressed with very, very harsh sentences. If you pull a knife on somebody, you should be locked up for a long time. The people that were in the car when Tanisha was killed, they should never come out of prison. They should be in prison for the rest of their lives for what they've done. And I think we need to have police bobbies on the beat much more and permanently. I know there's an increase this week and probably for the next few weeks, but we need people on the beat that the young people know and respect, and that the families, the mums, know and respect. I think that's very important, and I think the other area to look at is the leaders of the gangs that are dealing drugs, who target fatherless youngsters, boys to go out and sell the drugs on their behalf and take all the risks effectively. But they also attract a lot of girls into their gangs, and the girls are then sexually abused. And for me, they're public enemy number 1. You know, for me, it's not people coming from Eastern Europe to get jobs. It's not Islamic terrorists. It's actually these hardened drug dealers at the highest levels. You know, for me, the way they abuse children, I think it's more prevalent than paedophiles do. I think they are absolutely disgusting people. They need to be got out of our community.
Well, let me bring some of the other guys in this as well, because I know you've all got thoughts on it. And Yvonne, again, something very personal for you, because your son was killed and you've set up a charity, haven't you, trying to work with young people and solve this. Just tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so Godwin unfortunately lost his life to knife crime 8 years ago, just trying to stop a fight in Stamford Hill. And as a mother and as a parent, it just the worst traumatic thing that could ever happen, because you never, ever, ever think that this is going to come to your doorstep. So when we lost Godwin and our whole lives were all changed, your whole journey is all, you have to relive it. We decided to set a foundation to help young people to overcome any barriers that they've got and for them to reach their fullest ever potential. Because things that we forget is young people have got lots of talent.
Yeah, you can
and
see them
potential.
here this morning, can't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the challenge is how can we as adults help them to fulfil that potential?
Yeah.
And that's what Godwin Lawson Foundation is all about.
Yeah. And Mick, this is something you have worked with in Manchester, haven't you? Because, you know, this is not just specific to London. There's lots of problems like this, and particularly in Manchester, gang warfare used to be rife, didn't it? And that's what you were working on. Tell us about that.
So, going back to the 80s, Manchester had a problem around drug dealing, and from that emerged gangs, and from that then in turn emerged territorial disputes, and eventually that found its way into becoming a widely established issue where our gangs had a preferred choice of weapon was a gun. We had problems where witnesses within the community weren't prepared to come forward, and from that grew quite a challenge for the city, a challenge significant in so many ways, even insofar as the actual inward investment for the city. So we designed a strategy that took account of the very complex issue. You've heard that line repeated many times. It was certainly that for Manchester.
So how did you solve it? What did you do? I know it's not completely solved, but certainly reduced.
It's not completely solved, but certainly it's nothing like it used to be. A gang-related firearms incident is a much rarer event these days. So we had a strategy that was far-ranging and robust. So it's my job to coordinate and deliver the strategy. And then the other part of my job was to pull together a team of practitioners from the statutory agencies to work with communities, with partners in the community, to offer interventions for young people as young as 8, who we realised were the next generation if we weren't too careful, and we'd not spotted that originally. So we were designing, developing as we went along, but we had that local political leadership that was ever so important, and we had community groups, and we had police who were up to the task of developing the trust and confidence of that community that they served.
So clearly, I think, you know, it's a lot about collaboration, isn't it? And really lovely to talk to you all this morning. Thank you so much. There's so much more that we can discuss, isn't there? And I'm sure that will be ongoing, but thank you very much. And thanks for letting us in. It's been great.
Very welcome.
We've had a lovely time.
We're very passionate about this issue.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and to everyone here as well. But that's it from me.
Steph, thank you very much. And thanks to you as well. It's been absolutely fascinating, particularly hearing